and looks like a plowed field. Exposure for a length of time make the rock easier to work than it is when it comes out of the mine. If mining should cease now, the supply of rock spread over those fields would furnish the usual 8,000 carloads per day to the separating works during 3 years. The fields are fenced and watched, and at night they are under the constant inspection of lofty electric searchlight. They contain $50 or $60 million worth of diamonds, and there is an abundance of enterprising thieves around. In the dirt of the Kimberley streets there is much hidden wealth. Some time ago the people were granted the privilege of a free wash-up. There was a general rush, the work was done with thoroughness, and a good harvest of diamonds was gathered. The deep mining is done by natives. There are many hundreds of them. They live in quarters built around the inside of a great compound. They are a jolly and good-natured lot and accommodating. They performed a war dance for us, which was the wildest exhibition I have ever seen. They are not allowed outside of the compound during their term of service, 3 months, I think it is, as a rule. They go down the shaft, stand their watch, come up again, are searched, and go to bed or to their amusements in the compound, and this routine they repeat, day in and day out. It is thought that they do not now steal many diamonds successfully. They used to swallow them and find other ways of concealing them, but the white man found ways of beating their various games. One man cut his leg and shoved a diamond into the wound, but even that project did not succeed. When they find a fine large diamond, they are more likely to report it than to steal it, for in the former case they get a reward, and in the latter they are quite apt to merely get into trouble. Some years ago, in a mine not owned by the De Beers, a black found what has been claimed to be the largest diamond known to the world's history, and, as a reward, he was released from service and given a blanket, a horse, and $500. It made him a Vanderbilt. He could buy 4 wives and have money left. 4 wives are an ample support for a native. With 4 wives he is wholly independent, and need never to do a stroke of work again. That great diamond weighs 971 carats. Some say it is as big as a piece of alum. Others say it is as large as a bite of rock candy, but the best authorities agree that it is almost exactly the size of a chunk of ice. But those details are not important, and in my opinion not trustworthy. It has a flaw in it, otherwise it would be of incredible value. As it is held to be worth $2 million. After cutting, it ought to be worth from $5 million to $8 million. Therefore, persons desiring to save money should buy it now. It is owned by a syndicate, and apparently there is no satisfactory market for it. It is earning nothing. It is eating its head off. Up to this time it has made nobody rich but the native who found it. He found it in a mine which was being worked by contract. That is to say, a company had bought the privilege of taking from the mine 5 million carloads of blue rock for a sum down and a royalty. Their speculation had not paid, but on the very day that their privilege ran out that native found the $2 million diamond and handed it over to them. Even the diamond culture is not without its romantic episodes. The Koh-i-Noor is a large diamond and valuable, but it cannot compete in these matters with 3 which, according to legend, are among the crown trinkets of Portugal and Russia. One of these is held to be worth $20 million, another $25 million, and the third something over $28 million. Those are truly wonderful diamonds, whether they exist or not, and yet they are of but little importance by comparison with the one wherewith the Boer wagoner chalked his wheel on that steep grade as heretofore referred to. In Kimberley I had some conversation with the man who saw the Boer do that, an incident which had occurred 27 or 28 years before I had my talk with him. He assured me that that diamond's value could have been over $1 billion, but not under it. I believed him, because he had devoted 27 years to hunting for it, and was in a position to know. A fitting and interesting finish to an examination of the tedious and laborious and costly processes whereby the diamonds are gotten out of the deeps of the earth and freed from the base stuffs which imprison them is the visit to the De Beers offices in the town of Kimberley, where the result of each day's mining is brought every day and weighed, assorted, valued, and deposited in safes against shipping day. An unknown and unaccredited person cannot get into that place, and it seemed apparent from the generous supply of warning and protective and prohibitory signs that were posted all about, that not even the known and accredited can steal diamonds there without inconvenience. We saw the day's output, shining little nests of diamonds, distributed a foot apart along a counter, each nest reposing upon a sheet of white paper. That day's catch was about $70,000 worth. In the course of a year half a ton of diamonds pass under the scales there and sleep on that counter. The resulting money is $18 million or $20 million, profit about $12 million. Young girls were doing the sorting, a nice, clean, dainty, and probably distressing employment. Every day ducal incomes sift and sparkle through the fingers of those young girls, yet they go to bed at night as poor as they were when they got up in the morning. The same thing next day, and all the days. They are beautiful things, those diamonds, in their native state. They are of various shapes. They have flat surfaces, rounded borders, and never a sharp edge. They are of all colors and shades of color, from dewdrop white to actual black, and their smooth and rounded surfaces and contours, variety of color, and transparent limpidity make them look like piles of assorted candies. A very light straw color is their commonest tint. It seemed to me that these uncut gems must be more beautiful than any cut ones could be, but when a collection of cut ones was brought out I saw my mistake. Nothing is so beautiful as a rose diamond with the light playing through it, except that uncostly thing which is just like it, wavy sea-water with the sunlight playing through it and striking a white sand bottom. Before the middle of July we reached Cape Town and the end of our African journeyings, and well satisfied, for towering above us was Table Mountain, a reminder that we had now seen each and all of the great features of South Africa, except Mr. Cecil Rhodes. I realize that that is a large exception. I know quite well that whether Mr. Rhodes is the lofty and worshipful patriot and statesman that multitudes believe him to be, or Satan come again, as the rest of the world account him, he is still the most imposing figure in the British Empire outside of England. When he stands on the Cape of Good Hope, his shadow falls to the Zambesi. He is the only colonial in the British dominions whose goings and comings are chronicled and discussed under all the globe's meridians, and whose speeches, unclipped, are cabled from the ends of the earth, and he is the only unroyal outsider whose arrival in London can compete for attention with an eclipse. That he is an extraordinary man, and not an accident of fortune, not even his dearest South African enemies were willing to deny, so far as I heard them testify. The whole South African world seemed to stand in a kind of shuddering awe of him, friend and enemy alike. It was as if he were deputy God on the one side, deputy Satan on the other, proprietor of the people, able to make them or ruin them by his breath, worshipped by many, hated by many, but blasphemed by none among the judicious, and even by the indiscreet in guarded whispers only. What is the secret of his formidable supremacy? One says it is his prodigious wealth, a wealth whose drippings in salaries and in other ways support multitudes and make them his interested and loyal vassals. Another says it is his personal magnetism and his persuasive tongue, and that these hypnotize and make happy slaves of all that drift within the circle of their influence. Another says it is his majestic ideas, his vast schemes for the territorial aggrandizement of England, his patriotic and unselfish ambition to spread her beneficent protection and her just rule over the pagan wastes of Africa, and make luminous the African darkness with the glory of her name. And another says he wants the earth, and wants it for his own, and that the belief that he will get it and let his friends in on the ground floor is the secret that rivets so many eyes upon him and keeps him in the zenith where the view is unobstructed. One may take his choice. They are all the same price. One fact is sure: he keeps his prominence and a vast following no matter what he does.